On today's Locked On NBA Squad Show West preview, OKC doesn't repeat if, we're not going to say injuries, but something else will have to happen for them not to repeat. We'll talk about that and more on the West Squad Show right now.
You are talking ball with the NBA Squad Show, sponsored by Game Time. From the Warriors to the Lakers, the Knicks to the Heat, and everyone else in the league, the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bring you all the scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive look across the league. Trash talk and big takes included. No holding back, we're giving the green light. It's time to talk NBA Squad Show.
And welcome to the Locked On NBA Squad Show, the show where we take over the feed of your favorite Locked On show. It's the West Preview Show. We're talking about the Western Conference, anything that we can get our hands on and talk about in the West. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of Locked On Mavericks podcast, and thank you for making Locked On You the #1 sports podcast network out there. Yes, let's go. We did it. We did it, everybody. Today, we will talk about all kinds of different things. We got all kinds of hosts here. Jackson Gatlin, Locked On Rockets. Ben Garcia, Locked On Suns. Matt Moore, Locked On Nuggets. Joe Mullinax, Locked On Grizzlies. Ben Beecken, Locked On Wolves. Rylan Stiles, Locked On Thunder. And the Grand Poobah, the man himself from Locked On Jazz, David Locke, is in the building. Gentlemen, we may start and go somewhere completely different from where we are now, but let's start with this one. OKC doesn't repeat in the West as, let's say, the #1 seed and the team coming out of the West in the finals. If ... And Rylan, let's start it off with you. You have to you now have to defend your team.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. If the Thunder do not repeat as champions, it's going to be because the things that we think can happen for this team developmentally don't happen. Like if Chet Holmgren doesn't get a lot better offensively, they're not going to win a championship again. Like they can't win a championship again without him getting better offensively and that solving some of the Thunder's half-court issues offensively. Because whenever they went long in the series with Denver and Indiana, the half-court offense really stalled out at times, and that has to be taken away by progression from Chet, by progression from even J-Dub being more consistent throughout that Denver series especially, which he did throughout the rest of the postseason, but he has to do it again this season. And then you look at their three-point shooting. They were 13th out of 16 teams from beyond the arc in the playoffs. They were able to manage it and win a championship, but you can't sustain that in the modern NBA. And so I think that they're going to need to improve from beyond the arc and improve the quality of threes that they're generating. That stationary drive and kick stuff gets taken away pretty easily in the postseason. They're going to need to get more creative with how they utilize their three-point shooters. But a lot of this does rest on Chet, and a lot of this does rest on their ability to sustain and duplicate their elite, historically great defense, because that's what kind of this whole thing is built on. So they're going to have to continue to be in the passing lanes, going to have to continue to spark transition to, again, alleviate some of that half-court offensive concerns. But it is a lot on Chet Holmgren to be better offensively.
What if, just like Rylan, I'll walk through a hypothetical. What if the officials start doing this thing where they blow the whistle and they actually call fouls on your defense? What happens then?
Well, I mean, we saw last year they were the most fouled team. They fouled the most in the NBA, and they also got called for a lot of them, obviously. So they're going to have to adjust. I think that the bigger thing would be like, what if Nikola Jokic hits more shots in that series? Because even last year, with as beat up as Denver was and as much flaws as you could point to with their roster, there were a couple games in a 7-game series where if Jokic has another shot go in, the Nuggets win the series, the Thunder out in the second round. So yeah, I'm not too concerned about the fouls. I think it'd be interesting if like they call Shai's push off more consistently throughout the season and the postseason. That could damper some of their offense, in particular in games in which their half court offense is relying solely on Shai, because there's still going to be games like that. If you take away a couple of those buckets from the Thunder, then all of a sudden their offense will not be able to generate enough points to win. So there are some things like that, especially with the refs about Jokic, because they were able to really rough up Jokic in certain games. But even in that series, man, like you watched it too. Some games the Thunder could get away with mauling him. Some games they couldn't. And so it's kind of a night-by-night case. So we just don't know. And I said it on the show at the time. We don't know what officials will show up, and so we don't know how they're going to call the games. But yeah, that could really hurt them because their whole game plan around Jokic is just, hey, let's just get after him, use our fouls, and see what happens.
The subtle bit of Oklahoma arrogance, I actually think Rylan answered that question correctly. And we could find things like the possession advantage that Oklahoma City's had for like 3 years gets minimized. But the truth is somebody else has to rise up. Yeah. Like, I don't think there's anything that's going to make Oklahoma City that much worse. I mean, they're pretty darn good. They're pretty young, sure. Even if Chet's offense doesn't develop, fine. They're still going to be a 60-plus win team. who's going to rise up? Which team in the Western Conference actually can elevate themselves to get to Oklahoma City? I don't think Oklahoma City's coming back.
Well, I think you start to make the argument. Well, you look at Denver, as close as they were in a 7-game series already, as banged up as they were last season, and they just added a ton of depth. They've addressed kind of the biggest weakness throughout the Jokic era, which has been a team that completely craters when he's off the floor. Now they have depth to hopefully be able to offset some of that. They're going to be a better, more well-rounded team moving on from MPJ. Like, I think the argument here is between the kind of internal growth and development that Rylan already mentioned for the Thunder, and you weigh that versus the offseason additions that Denver made, and which one of those do you believe more firmly in, as far as going into this season?
Yeah, I was going to say to one of Rylan's points about the Thunder defense, it's really hard to be the best defense in the league 2 straight years. I mean, I think the Thunder were historically good last year, and so that probably gives them a leg up. But I mean, the Timberwolves were by far the best defense in the league 2 years ago, and they were like 6th last year. They're still really good defense, but the Thunder were historically good. So can they maintain that after winning a championship? Can they say, like, all right, let's buckle down and do it again 2 straight years? There's that mental piece of it as well. I think odds are they can, or they'll at least come close, just simply because of their youth, and it does seem like they have the right mentality with that. And also to Jackson's point, I get the Nuggets would be the biggest challenger if Ant makes a leap from really good to like a top 3 player, which is what happened with SGA. Like, I know he was great 2 years ago, but he made a huge leap over the last 18 months or so. So if one of those things happens where the Nuggets depth or an Ant leap or something like that, I think it's more going to be that plus any sort of malaise on the defensive end for the Thunder that would really kind of bring the Thunder back to the rest of the pack, with the pack meeting the Thunder somewhere in the middle.
They were 19th in offensive rebound rate and 23rd, I think, in opponent offensive rebound rate. And like, we got a lot of teams in this chat right here that are like contenders. So like the Rockets with the double big lineup with Adams and Sengun and Capella, and you've got Joe Mullinax, Zach Edey and Jaren Jackson and Brandon Clark and Reeves and every other player in the history of the Grizzlies front court get back. And then you got Ben Beecken, who's able to play the 2 big with Randall or Nas alongside Rudy. And you've got Nick Angstadt with Anthony Davis and Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively.
Defense wins championships, Matt Moore.
David Locke, basketball reference, they're projecting Walker Kessler for like 3.4 blocks. So every team here, I think, has the ability to go out and attack Oklahoma City, and also Ben Garcia from Locked On Suns is here. So.
I just want to
how dare you disrespect Mark Williams and Nick Richards? How dare you?
At the beginning of the show, we were told we couldn't talk about injuries, which is why I haven't said a word. I'm not currently healthy. So I heard specifically from one of my bosses that injuries aren't allowed to be discussed. So I feel like I should log off at this time and just tell everybody to tune into Locked On Grizzlies, your team each and every day out of Memphis.
Locked On Grizzlies injury report.
Okay, well, okay. So is it Denver? Denver's the only one that can rise up to beat them. Is anybody believing in the Rockets?
I believe in the Rockets.
Wow. Make the case.
Knocker.
Look,
right. I think that it's only acceptable for the Thunder to lose to Denver in the West. Now, I mean, that's not to say that they're not going to get beat by anyone else, but in terms of like, okay, that makes sense. It's Denver to me.
I don't want to drive us in a different direction, but if it's going to be anybody other than Denver, the craziest thing is the 2 most important players in this division are Reed Sheppard and Rob Dillingham.
Woof.
Yeah.
Off the worst draft class in the history of the NBA, both Minnesota and Houston have to have either Rob Dillingham or Reed Sheppard grow up fast. I don't think either of them are ready for that, so that's why I don't think you put them in with Denver.
I mean, I think it would certainly help if Rob Dillingham grew up. I don't know that the Wolves are necessarily relying on that. I think Chris Finch is going to pull the plug pretty quick if it doesn't look like it's, which is obviously not great from an asset management standpoint, et cetera. But if we're talking about just this season, I think they can get enough out of Mike Conley again to get them to where they need to go. And they're going to lean heavily into Terrence Shannon Jr. as like that backup point guard. I mean, Gilgeous-Alexander Walker was the backup point guard last year, and he's not a point guard. So I think they can keep doing the same thing. And it's all going to come down to the Anthony Edwards leap more than anything else. If Rob Dillingham ends up being what his ceiling is at some point in the next 2 years, then that's a whole other ballgame. And we're talking a much, much better team. But I think they can be a 55-plus win team without Rob Dillingham giving them a whole lot. Can we jump in on Mike? Can I get your thoughts on Mike Conley, Ben? Because I know Mike well from Utah. I actually thought he might have been done when he left Utah. His 2-point shooting percentage dropped 10 percentage points last year. Yeah. He played 5 or 6 minutes less. His 3-point shooting percentage, I think, slipped as well a little, but I mean, I think it was more that his attempts went down. Like,
every indicator on Mike Conley is that 37 was the magic number, and there's a real chance he comes out this year and it's just over.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tale of two seasons. Like everything before basically January 1st was horrible. He was the worst 2-point shooter in the league. He was like 30-something% from three, which is obviously not what we're used to. But then after January 1st, he actually, I think it was actually after March 1st, he was like top 3 in 3-point percentage in the league. So it was really a matter of, I think he had to play himself into shape a little bit, honestly. And the biggest slippage, I think, was defensively. That was the biggest issue. And so they tried to hide him a lot more defensively. Teams hunted him consistently in the playoffs. So I think they're going to manage his minutes even more. But I think if they can get 20 good minutes out of him, that's going to matter, which I guess speaks to, back to the Dillingham point. That's why if Dillingham ends up being really good, it's a whole different story. But I think they're going to rely heavily on kind of recreating that point guard role with some other guys and initiating more offense. There's obviously a trickle-down impact there, but I mean, you're right. It was easily his worst season in a long time, and he's clearly on the wrong side of his career. But he was better as the season wore on, and so I think there's some hope that if they can manage his minutes a little bit and put him in the right spots and hide him defensively, then you could still get another. He's essentially a starter. He's a starter in name, but your production you're getting is more of like a backup point guard. But it's still valuable because of what he can bring to at least keeping your offense flowing.
One note I'll add on that, he had a significant wrist injury that did not allow him to play golf in the offseason before. And if Mike Conley's not playing golf, it's a real injury. And he decided not to have surgery because at 37 years old, he felt like if he had surgery, missed a whole season, was over. So
he had a hole-in-one this summer. He had a hole-in-one playing golf this summer. So
then that's a good sign.
Much better summer. Better. Yeah.
Today's episode of Locked On NBA Squad Show Preview is brought to you by Wayfair. The holidays are going to be here before you know it, which is exciting, but you got to get your home ready for guests and celebrations, and that can feel like a lot. I just went to Wayfair recently and got some chairs, got some nightstands, and got them delivered directly to my house. The shipping was free. It was awesome. I loved the whole process of it. I love being able to check the different colors and prices and all that kind of stuff that you can check out on Wayfair. It makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection of every style and budget. They have more things than I could find in furniture stores around here. Free and easy delivery like I experienced, even with the big stuff. I got like a big cabinet delivered one time. You can get everything delivered you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees. So go check it out. Check out Wayfair. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now and shop all things home. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. That's Wayfair, every style, every home.
I think the Wolves can beat OKC. I think they mismanaged that series so badly to start last year. Like, if I was looking at it this morning, they won the Rudy Gobert minutes. They won the Rudy Gobert Julius Randle minutes. They won the Rudy Gobert Naz Reid minutes. And for some reason, Chris Finch is like, oh no, gotta go small. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And they cost themselves, I think, a real chance. I think this Wolves team, especially if Terrence Shannon Jr. gives them anything and Ant takes another step forward, I think they're there.
Yeah, they think TJ Shannon's going to be a really big piece. I mean, he's essentially the Nickeil Walker role. He's not the defender Nickeil is, but I think he could get there, and he's a better offensive player overall. So, I think that's going to be key.
See, I believe in the Houston Rockets too, Jackson. I believe in the Houston Rockets as well, because I'm a big Amen Thompson fan. I'm a big fan of his, and I think that as much as OKC has ascended and obviously is one of the great teams in the league, I feel like Houston still has a couple of players like that, him, Sengun, that are still on that upward trajectory. And I think they're maybe not quite the same as the Thunder, but I think that, the Fred VanVleet injury maybe has not necessarily blinded us, but I still think with a veteran that can still go like Kevin Durant, you have Thompson, you have Sengun, that had the amazing summer, obviously, in Eurobasket. I really was impressed with what those guys did, and I think Houston is probably being written off a little bit too soon.
The Fred injury, look, you can't. The Fred injury is important, right? Fred was going to be an integral part of this team, and you can, blame roster construction for putting all the eggs in the one Fred VanVleet basket and not having like another proven ball handler to, step into his place if something like this were to happen. I do think it's being overblown, though. The level of, I guess, production ultimately needed from Reed Sheppard and Amen Thompson. Like what we're talking about here is just, okay, you need like guys who can just walk the ball up, right? Like the offense isn't going to run through those two guys hardly at all, right? There's Kevin Durant and Alperen Sengun both exist. And I think that you're going to see offense that is primarily run through those two guys in particular. If we get any, kind of a preview as to what to expect from this Rockets team offensively this season, it seems like Ime Udoka is finally like fully leaning into the idea of Alperen Sengun as kind of this offensive hub, primary facilitator. There's been through 2 preseason games, albeit, but like a lot more off-ball movement and motion when Alperen Sengun has the ball in his hands, whereas the last couple seasons there was a lot of stagnation in the Rockets offense. Like one guy would get the ball and then it'd just be 4 guys standing around with very little off-ball action, nothing really happening, and you could see that, you know, at times Sengun was begging for somebody to make a move or cut or do something. And, you know, I think that at times, you know, was maybe a little bit of an indictment on the coaching staff not being a bit more creative when you have a guy like Sengun who can pass and facilitate the way that he does. Through about 4.5 quarters of play in preseason, he has 19 assists. Like,
Are we worried about Kevin Durant making through 4 rounds of the playoffs? Anybody?
Not particularly. I mean, as long as they don't run him into the ground like the Suns did in the regular season, there's no reason for 36-year-old KD to be playing 37 minutes a game and leading the team in minutes played.
Yeah, well, all right, let's get the honest thing that it's not the coaches choosing that. Kevin Durant's playing 37 minutes because Kevin Durant wants to play 37 minutes, and he's not going to do anything less. That's Kevin Durant. That's the problem.
I think it's also going to help that he's not going to have to play the 5
yes.
like he did in Phoenix.
Yeah, he's playing the 2 effectively in Houston, so fair. And
is that worse? Is that better or worse?
Look, that's always a battle with players want to play, and so at the end of the day, you have to have an organization and a coaching staff that can actually sit down and have those, you know, heart-to-heart conversations. Be like, hey, we know you want to be out there for 36, 37, 38 minutes a night, but if you are, then we run the risk of you getting hurt, right? We run the risk of you're 37 now. You maybe can't do that as much. If the Rockets can somehow get KD down to 34, 35 minutes a night where he's not leading the team in minutes played, and you get 70-ish games of regular season KD and then a healthy postseason run, as opposed to him playing 37, 38, 39 minutes a night, and then he only gets 55 or 60 games and is potentially worn down for the playoffs, then, you know, that's not a win for anybody. And I think that if you have that heart-to-heart conversation with them, then, you know, if the coaching staff can convince him, then, you know, that's up to the organization. So
I'm just having a hard time with the older guys, like expecting them to get all the way through the playoffs, like after what we saw last year. Like the Clippers are this team for me, where I'm like, there's just no way I can see all those guys making it through.
No shot.
Four rounds.
No shot.
The Warriors
was already injured.
The Warriors 3 guys getting all the way through. I mean, you could say that the Mavs, like the 2 guys when Kyrie comes back and Anthony Davis, like I'm having a hard time envisioning that. And if we're talking about a team getting past OKC, then man, it's tough. It feels like such a young man's game at this point.
But it's also about depth. Like, and then we saw this, like the two of the deepest teams in the NBA were the teams that made it to the finals last year in OKC and Indiana, right? Teams that had very viable, like, rotation guys, like all the way like 12 deep on their roster, 13 deep on their roster, give or take. And so I do think that like a handful of teams, like the Rockets included, took kind of that note and went out and added depth, right? Denver added depth, Houston added depth, like to where, you know, now the Rockets are dealing with injuries to start the season. You know, no Fred, obviously. Dorian Finney-Smith's not going to be ready to go. Jae'Sean Tate maybe not ready to go. Like, so their depth is going to be tested early. But once everybody's healthy, minus the Fred situation, like the Rockets have a relatively deep team to be able to afford some games where it's like, hey, second night of a back-to-back, KD, take the game off, right? Like we need you to be rested. And I think a lot of the older teams in the NBA have to follow that kind of blueprint of resting their older players.
This is year 2 of the collective bargaining agreement having an impact on rosters. I think the fundamental change is you have to have 240 minutes of viable basketball now. You didn't used to have 240 minutes of viable basketball on your roster. You really actually had to have 120 of great minutes out of 3 players every night. They were giving you 35 minutes. You now have to Indiana. That's what Indiana was. They were top to bottom. And you look at the teams that got too top heavy last year, Philadelphia, Denver, all those teams that had $100 million out of their first 2 players. So they couldn't fill out the back of their roster. They fell apart. You've got to have 240 minutes of complete basketball if you're going to be able to compete for a championship. That's where the Clippers are pretty dangerous here. I agree with you on the age, Nick, but boy, the Clippers have probably the most consistent 240 minutes of anyone in the Western Conference on their roster.
If it was 2019, they're going 98-0, baby. That roster. It was 6 years ago. I mean, goodness gracious. Can you imagine?
What do we actually expect from the Clippers?
I think they're going to be better than most people expect. I think that Bradley Beal, you know, the judgment of Bradley Beal was based off of the contract and his role in Phoenix and all those sorts of things. What do you expect out of him in LA? A heck of a lot less. And I think that the level of expectation is going to change. So much obviously revolves around Kawhi, but they have other meaningful pieces. I mean, they're very old, but that rotation is a legitimate 10, 11 deep. and a lot of guys that have played a lot of meaningful, good basketball over a long span of time. If they can stay healthy, I think they're one of the teams that can maybe not challenge the OKC, but they definitely can be in that second tier.
Well, Beal only struggled in Phoenix because he was playing with an inferior two guard. I mean, if he was playing with Donovan Mitchell, then like
we can all agree that Devin Booker is inferior, not just to Donovan Mitchell, but Jalen Wells and just about every two guard in the Western Conference. Devin Booker is about 15th out of 15.
This is an inside joke for those listening before Phoenix fans absolutely storm all of our homes.
I defended D-Book the other day. Phoenix fans should have my back.
Hey, I think the Suns are going to beat their win total and be a play-in team. So I think they're actually going to be pretty good. In large part, Devin Booker. On the Clippers point real quick, Ben,
Go for it.
I think I've got them at like 58 wins and the number 2 seed. I think they're really good. I just think
58 wins for the Clippers.
Yeah.
You think they're going to care enough about the regular season to get 58 wins?
It's based off a schedule. That the problem is like all of their schedule spots where it's like, oh, they're on a second night of the back-to-back. They're versus a bad team. Oh no, they're in a 3-4. They're at home for it. So it's like they have like a favorable schedule spot for it. They won't win that many because like the injuries will occur and things will drag them down. And I don't want any part of this team from a playoff perspective. I don't think they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs because Kawhi Leonard can't lead anybody out of a cardboard box. But I do think they're going to win a lot of games because they have the ability to play. Okay, we need a defensive lineup. Ty Lue can put in a defensive lineup. We need more offense. We can balance that. I always think that if you give the best coaches lots of different options, the best coaches are the ones that can figure out those combinations. That's a tricky thing. I think Ty Lue, giving him this many weapons to be like, all right, we need size, but also some shooting, but also some athleticism, but also a point guard. He's got all of that to be able to build the right lineup for the situation. Ben, are the Suns going to be okay? I think they're going to be okay.
Hold on, wait. We're 20 minutes in. Okay, I guess it's late enough to talk.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Listen, we talked about the Suns, I'm sure, when Brendan was here years ago, and they had their spot. Like, we're kind of having to eat crow now. Like, we kind of are having to eat crow here in Phoenix. They, as David mentioned, said bleep the CBA, bleep them picks. We're going to go all in, be top heavy, and that would have worked in 2009, 2010. And unfortunately, people like myself bought into it too, and it didn't work out. I don't want to spend too long talking about the Suns because, like, I do think that they're going to be better this year. You know, I can buy into Jalen Green being a secondary scorer to Devin Booker. I can buy into a lot of that stuff, and this team smash their over total, be a play-in team. I think Booker can be supernova Devin Booker, as he's done in the playoffs before, to the likes of Michael Jordan for spurts where Donovan Mitchell has never done, or Jalen Wells for that instance, if we just want to bring him in, because why not?
Because he's superior to Devin Booker.
That,
why?
Yeah, no, like Desmond Bane before that. Like, we can get into that, but like,
realistically, Jalen Green is superior to Devin Booker at this point. Like, let's just put that.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they're printing out here in Phoenix. They're not all just saying, "Hey, this Jalen Green guy, we're crossing our fingers that he can be a little bit more efficient, and this team can smash their win total." But regardless, I think it's enjoyable and pleasant. Like, I deserve this as a Suns fan, media member, whatever.
And we all agree in different ways, completely different ways.
Be able to watch another team buy into Bradley Beal. It's like, oh man, it's like
you're doing that. Wait, hold on. You're doing the same thing. You're buying into Jalen Green. The same exact way.
Easy now.
I would argue it's a lot worse with Jalen Green.
I can buy.
Wait, he's doing the Dylan Brooks thing too, Joe.
I can buy into Jalen Green, potentially kind of figuring it out a little bit. I'm not buying him to being this, like, become the best backcourt in the NBA with Devin Booker. I don't know if this team's going to be a play-in team. If you need me to backtrack a little bit there, I just think it's funny that everyone saw what happened in Phoenix, and they're like, oh, but Phoenix was the problem. You know where he's going to go and thrive? Very stable and championship pedigree, not the worst California team over the, their history, the Los Angeles Clippers. Like, yeah, that's where he's going to flourish now. So I just find it kind of fun.
California?
Okay, fine. They're both the worst. All right, they're both the redheaded stepchild.
This happened in the East one too.
Hang on, how many conference finals appearances do the Kings and Clippers have between them in the last 25 years?
The Kings have
Don't the Kings
one,
have
and the Clippers
one?
have one, I think.
Oh man!
Yeah.
25 years.
Wow!
That's right.
25 years.
By the way, this happened in the East one too. If we say Sacramento Kings one more time, Matt George will appear. So just be cautious as we go.
That's unless you organize a squad show division. Is anyone here in the division? No, I don't.
Who's
think so.
in your division? What's your division called?
It's called California.
None of us know. It doesn't matter.
The California division plus Phoenix. But Matt George organized a whole thing for all of us to get together and preview the Pacific Division. You want to know the only team that didn't show up to that preview? Matt George, the guy that organized it.
Today's episode of Locked On NBA Squad Show NBA Preview is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the action. NFL season is here and NBA season is around the corner. FanDuel has a deal that you won't want to miss. If you're a new customer, you can bet just $5 and you get $300 in bonus bets if you win to use across the app anywhere. So put it on something that you absolutely think is going to happen. So check out like a game where you think, oh, I'm going to put the money line on like the Thunder winning that opening night game against the Rockets on ring night, or maybe the opposite because teams don't usually win on ring night. You can also look at some of the over-unders on the regular season wins. So like my Dallas Mavericks, 40.5 is their over-under. I'm taking the over on that. You think Anthony Davis, Cooper Flagg, and all of them are not going to be over 500 this season? Come on. Even if Anthony Davis misses like 20 games or something like that, which I get it. Rockets also 52.5 over-under. I know they lost Fred VanVleet, but you add Kevin Durant to a team and they're not going to go over the wins that they had last year. That's interesting. Go check it out on FanDuel. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. FanDuel.com. Please gamble responsibly. Another team in that division, another team that's old, is the Golden State Warriors. I don't know that they're filled out to the 240 minutes that Locke was talking about earlier. They tried recently. They signed a bunch of guys, but they were good at the end of last season when they added Jimmy Butler, but then they just crashed and burned. It felt like in the playoffs.
You see the Kevin Pelton projection on them?
No.
Number two in the West by a lot.
Yeah. My only addition on the Warriors is that Warrior fan tipped me off that they're calling the lineup that features Horford, Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond the near-death lineup.
That's good.
You know what? Just like Ben said he deserves this Phoenix season, we deserve that. All of us that had to deal with that Warriors team.
Hey, I deserve it more than anybody else. Okay,
Whoa,
that team has crushed my hopes and dreams.
Watch out. Ever heard of Kevin Durant, buddy?
Are you kidding me?
Ever heard of Kevin Durant?
You have Kevin Durant. You deserve that.
Yeah, have fun with that, by the way.
Well, I gotta say though, but in all seriousness on the Warriors, like they do peak out the 240 in a way that maybe only the Clippers do, right? I mean, there's a chance that Buddy Hield's not in their rotation.
I know we said we weren't going to talk about health, but we can talk about age. And I mean, I feel like that's where the depth matters even more is we can't predict whether or not somebody's going to get hurt, but we can predict that Jimmy Butler or Steph Curry is only going to play 60 games, 65 games, right, whatever. So that's where the depth matters that much more.
But I think they actually have, I think there might be the only team in the league that has 290 minutes.
Yeah,
who are they getting that from?
Yeah, it's like Gui Santos and Quentin Post.
No, I think Gary Payton II, Buddy Hield, Trace Jackson Davis are all kind of borderline rotation players for that team.
But Trace Jackson Davis is borderline rotation player because sometimes Steve Kerr just doesn't want to play him.
Yeah, right.
Same with Kuminga.
And the 240 is that you have 240 of viable rotation minutes, and Trace Jackson Davis may not be a viable rotation player. I would agree with you on that. But otherwise, I mean, the 240 thing's pretty interesting, you guys. If you run through every roster, it's hard to, most teams don't get to it. Like I just did Phoenix while we're talking. They're at 150. They literally are going to play 90 minutes of non-rotation NBA minutes right now. Sorry, Ryan Dunn. Sorry, Isho Higuodaro. You're not rotation.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? Oso Higuodaro is good.
He might be, but he's not established yet.
I can't tell if Matt's being serious or not.
I'm being serious.
Yeah, Matt doesn't joke about that.
I'm
really?
There's one thing he doesn't joke about.
Jordan Goodwin's good. They have so many guys that are going to be like,
it's in his name.
Everybody, the Suns are going to be that team this year where people are at midseason are like, you know who's kind of good? Is this guy on Phoenix?
Matt, do you really think they're going to make the play-in the West?
Yeah. I mean, they would make the playoffs if they had Donovan Mitchell, but I think they're going to make the play-in.
There's no way.
Who are they bumping out?
No way. Who? Look, Sacramento falls out. Sacramento's gone, right? That's one spot opens up. And then
the team that didn't talk for like 20 minutes because his team was so injured, the Memphis Grizzlies.
True.
I have them above the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay. Part of Phoenix and how they're going to be better this year is you're not supposed to talk about them because this team, I do believe, is going to have this new mentality of Oklahoma City's going to come to town on a random Tuesday in October, and they're going to beat the Suns, 98, 94. But the new identity of the Suns is Oklahoma City's going to walk in there and say, we're going to stomp the lights out of this team sleepwalking. And then they're going to leave saying, that was supposed to be an easier game. That team's freaking tough. And if we didn't actually try late in that fourth quarter, I think that's what it's going to be. And they're going to sneak up and get a couple of wins against, potentially a Rockets or a Wolves or whatever, once or twice getting those. Blazers as well. They're going to do that.
I thought Ben was crazy. Like, I made fun of him on Locked On NBA Daily when he said this about the defense. And
say it.
I'm kind of getting there. Like, I kind of think that they're going to be decent. Like, I think Jordan Ott might be good. Like, I think Jordan Ott might be really good. Joe.
He's the coach, by the way. He's not one of the random players, the random Suns players we mentioned. He's
Michigan State's finest.
Definitely had to specify there because people listening definitely probably would have just thought that was another player.
Beautiful.
By the way, the answer to who they're going to beat out is I have the teams below them as the Jazz, the Pelicans, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Blazers.
All right. Well, if we're not going to talk about injuries, that's my music to come in and say that.
Jump in, Nick.
The Dallas Mavericks have 200.
Oh my God,
they have the minutes.
Music.
David, what do you have the Mavs at minutes?
Let me look. Sorry, I don't have
because
it right
this is a deep team. Like they have guys. If Anthony Davis is going to stay relatively healthy, and we're not allowed to talk about health, so nobody can talk to me about that. True. But Cooper Flax
the 1 year you have Kyrie Irving. You say that you're deep. You're talking about a different thing.
But he's not playing with. They brought in D'Angelo Russell to be all right. They have Max Christie. They have multiple centers. They've got strength. They've got more wings than anybody else that we've talked about.
Yeah.
What's worse, depending on Jalen Green or depending on D'Angelo Russell?
Oh, D'Angelo Russell. Come on now.
They're depending on D'Angelo Russell way less than the Suns are depending on Jalen Green.
What's worse, depending on a combination of D'Angelo Russell and a rookie, or depending on Jalen Green?
You know what's worse? Me having to defend Kyrie Irving about D'Angelo Russell against Bill Simmons today. That was the thing I never thought I would do in my career.
That's admittedly a bad thing.
That was very. But I think D'Angelo Russell knows what his role is going to be. He's coming in and he's had really good chemistry with Anthony Davis before, and that's all you want him to do is to come in, set him up, set the rest of the guys up, play well with Cooper Flag. Now, when Cooper Flag said that D'Angelo Russell was mentoring him and that he was helping him learn where to be on defense, that was when my eyebrows started to raise and I started to think maybe this is too much D'Angelo Russell for my liking. But I think he's going to be fine in the role that he's going to play. He's going to give them what they need. And I think Cooper Flagg's going to be better than a lot of people expect early on because he's a connector and he's not going to put up the crazy numbers necessarily that we've seen from like a Blake Griffin rookie in the past. But I think they get there minutes wise, at least rotation wise, if we're talking about deep teams.
When Coop looks like a turnstile defensively, we know who to thank.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said when Coop looks like a turnstile defensively, we know who to thank.
Cooper Flag?
Cooper Flag's going to be a ball.
Oh, because he's taking defensive notes from D'Lo.
Yeah, right. If he's always in the wrong spot, then I'll say that. How many minutes they get, David?
They get 240 if you count Max Christie as an established rotation player in the NBA because of his second half of the season last year, and if you put Caleb Martin in rather than Dante Exum in the rotation.
Well, Dante Exum has not played yet, and Jason Kidd, when asked what he's out with, he just said he's just out. So I'm not feeling good about that one.
Yeah, I don't think that Dante's I don't think Dante's an established rotation player in the NBA, despite his nice comeback to the NBA.
Not anymore, but it's because of injuries, and I'll say that one. Yeah. But yeah,
so yes, they hit 240. If they hit 240,
that last guard spot is very tough for them, and that's where if Kyrie Irving does come back, or when he's healthy next season, then they're for sure.
And I joke, but like the Mavericks, I don't trust my projection on them. Like they could be totally fine. They could be pretty good. I don't understand how a team that doesn't have a point guard is going to be that good. I'm really worried about the Cooper thing because it's like Cooper needs to be this positive impact player. And historically, there's a couple of counterexamples.
What Cooper thing?
So Cooper needs to be like impactful for you. He needs to be really good and he needs to help you win. And very few rookies are positive in terms of winning their minutes. Zion Williamson did this in his rookie season. That's a pretty good comp, right? They're not the same type of player, but similar level of hype. It's just like typical, like Kevin Durant was like a negative every year. And it's like, well, he's on a tanking team in Seattle. Sure. But like they were also worse with him on the floor than off. And that's Kevin Durant.
And they were playing him at the 2, which is not maybe what Jason Kidd has already said about playing Cooper Flag at the 2 and maybe potentially out of position.
I think Cooper's going to be awesome. I just wish he'd been drafted literally anywhere else. And I think he'd be in a much better spot. I hate him being on this team where it's like, we got to win because we got to prove Nico was right. but also it's the veterans, so you need to make sure you don't mess up and don't make mistakes, and so you can't expand your game.
Yeah, but he's not a player that makes mistakes. Like he's not that type of player. He's a player that makes the right play like every single time he gets the ball.
But every rookie makes mistakes.
Sure, but every every player makes mistakes.
Except Jalen Wells. Jalen Wells does not make mistakes.
Or Jalen Green. Or
SGA.
Or Osi Iguodala.
Or Oshie.
Such a random fandom. That is amazing, Matt.
I just want to congratulate us for doing like 7 minutes on the Suns, and we have not mentioned the Lakers yet at all in this NBA preview. I mean, this is what the Locked On Network is all about right here. If they don't, Lakers don't show up. The Kamenitskis aren't here. We haven't talked about them. How does LeBron's injury change Hennessy sales, Matt Moore?
Something to think about.
You know, somebody told me that they think he's just going to retire, and I still can't believe that. Like, I just think that you're going to get like the Nike ad at the beginning of the season, and the Nike ads, like he's going to make money off of it. That's why I actually thought there was a possibility this was real, because I was like, if he does it, he's going to make a thing out of it. Not because I think he cares about the attention, because his whole life is attention. He just like, it's weird. It's not the same to him as it is to other people, but because the money. And so I think that he'll kind of get there. I can't figure out where this Lakers team is at. The preseason stuff is extremely worrisome. It looks really bad, but like the roster should be better. But I don't know if like where they're at with Redick. I don't know if guys are buying in. Like the fans are frustrated because they're not doing stuff in preseason. I don't know what to do with the Lakers.
They play 6 games.
The Suns are the team that made them look bad in the first game. Just make sure throwing that out there.
What do you think about Ayton? What do you think about Ayton in that spot, Ben? If he's got like a pick and roll maestro with Luka, like does that at least make him look better?
So yes. DeAndre Ayton playing with Luka Doncic is going to make him better because of the 2-man game that you can kind of play with, pick and roll, throw the ball at the rim. Like he will do that. And he is undoubtedly a better player than Jackson Hayes. But there is a want to in the NBA that DeAndre Ayton will never do. He will tell you in press conferences, he's dominating. He'll tell you he's going to go out there and give it all he's got, and he's going to get offended when you ask him about his effort. But Jackson Hayes plays with an effort that DeAndre Ayton will never play with, and that is just a quality that is not measured by statistics, and Lakers fans are going to want to pull their hair out by middle of November because you have this player that's got a soft jumper at the elbow, hits those very consistently. But he's not an aggressive player. He doesn't have the want to or the motor. Like, the thing with DeAndre Ayton that I think perfectly encapsulates him is after 1 year in Portland, what did they do? They drafted his replacement, Donovan Clingan. After year 2, they said, we'd rather just pay you to leave. That is the DeAndre Ayton experience. And I think that there is going to be a quality of Jackson Hayes who plays with a want to that DeAndre Ayton will never play with. So yes, there will be nights that he looks good with Luka, but I can't buy into the DeAndre Ayton experience until he does it for an extended period of time and not just a playoff run with the Suns back in 2021.
But this is a contract year, DeAndre Ayton. This is a prove-it season now.
Anybody believe the Lakers are top 4 seed in the West?
Luka's pretty good, by the way.
Yes,
yeah, Luka's really good.
And that's their path, obviously, right? Like it's if Luka is Luka from 2 years ago, then you could argue the rest of this roster is.
And what was that like, Ben?
It wasn't great for Timberwolves fans, not at all. But I think, like if you look at that Mavs roster from 2 years ago versus this Lakers roster now, I mean, like, I don't know. You could argue about which team was better. But once you get past Luka, like, is Kyrie from 2 years ago better or worse than LeBron right now as the second best player? Look at the rest of that roster. Like, if Luka goes crazy this year, then obviously they could be a top 4 seed. But I think this is another team where I would say the middle depth, like if you look at our locked NBA top 100, like. They have 2 top 12 players. Austin Reeves was like 58 on our list or something. I don't have anybody else in the top 100, and there's nobody in between. And most of these teams, like it's the opposite of the Clippers in a sense, or some of these other teams, Houston, some of these other teams we talked about. I just think like the depth is okay. Like losing Dorian Finney-Smith obviously hurts, but they added a couple of guys that I think are going to be helpful as well. Like I think the Marcus Smart thing, I mean, who knows? But I think that like the actual bench
Joe, do you know?
Is okay.
Joe, do you know?
I absolutely know that's not going to work.
Who knows what to expect?
Bold prediction on the Los Angeles Lakers: Jake LaRavia will play more minutes for them than Marcus Smart.
Yeah, I think losing DFS really hurts, but I think. It's that middle depth. Like once you get past the top 2 players, can Austin Reeves truly be a third option? What are you going to get from DeAndre Ayton? They have some okay end of bench guys, end of rotation guys, but what are you really getting 3 through 7 in the rotation?
Well,
The
listen.
thing about Marcus Smart is people still think of him like he was on the Clippers, and he hasn't been on the Clippers for a long time. Like that, the Marcus Smart that we're talking about is not
Celtics.
Yeah, that's what I'm sorry. Yes, I meant the Celtics. He hasn't been on the Celtics in a long time.
I don't even remember when he was on the Clippers.
I was hardcore starting. I was like,
so
whoa.
blown away. I was just so blown away by the idea of Marcus Smart being a contributor to a team trying to win basketball games that it threw me back.
That's unfair.
I'm very burned by the Marcus Smart Memphis experience. I don't think that's going to go well at all.
It wasn't his fault, but I said this in the East show for 30 seconds. Never, ever, 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 ever get a guy if Boston lets him go. Never, ever, ever. If any of your teams this year, it's like the Celtics are interested in trading this West team, Jaylen Brown, run now, because it means that like he has a black hole building in the middle of his chest or something. It's absolute disaster. Never, ever, ever, ever get in on anybody if Boston lets them go.
And on the flip side, Boston acquiring the Timberwolves non-rotation guys, Josh Minott and Luka Garza to play rotation minutes. It doesn't feel great.
Yeah, Minott's gonna be good. I love Minott.
Yeah, he's super.
I think you guys are all downplaying what a healthy LeBron James can do for this Lakers team.
Are we getting
not that LeBron James. I'm talking about Bronny James Jr.
Yeah,
he is healthy and he can play.
That's an excellent mention.
Just saying, Bronny James Jr. They do have a LeBron James playing. Just if you forget about the junior, I think there's a chance the Lakers are really bad this year, man. I think it's the transition year for them. I think this is them trying to move out of the LeBron James business and into the Luka business. And it's going to take a couple years for them to kind of fully acclimate themselves to that and be able to get the players they want around him. Like I think a part of this is just LeBron kind of pouting. Like I think he's pissed that for the first time in his career, someone else is is forming their team not around him, and it's the right thing to do. Just so we're clear.
I always say that when you want to put these things together, don't look at one report. Try and piece together the breadcrumbs. So he's frustrated. He opts in and then releases that statement that was weird as hell. And now he's missing the first season opener that he ever has in his career with sciatica.
Matt, you have experience in that, right?
I do, in fact, as an old man.
Talk about it on Locked On NBA Daily.
I do, in fact, have experience with it, and I have solidarity with him. It hurts and it sucks, but also like it's LeBron. I am very skeptical that this to me seems like he lost a power play and is pouting. I am with Ben on that.
Look at me and Matt. We agree on a lot.
Wow.
We're just trying to push him to the light of Devin Booker, man. That's all. Like, he just needs to watch more Suns games is all.
As a Memphis Grizzlies podcaster, I am vehemently rooting against the Phoenix Suns. You all already knew that.
Nothing brings the West groups together like hating on the Lakers or anybody.
Need that first round pick.
Well, I do want to ask Rylan a Lakers question.
I think there's one interesting Laker question though here on this whole like big picture topic. I wouldn't mind getting to. Like I brought it up. You have to have 240 now. Their second unit's awful. Gabe Vincent, Marcus Smart, Jake LaRavia, Jared Vanderbilt, Jackson Hayes, Dalton Connect. I mean, it's terrible. But literally, how many wins does a Luka give you? Like that's like, don't we still have a little bit of? Yes, that's probably not going to get you through the playoffs anymore. But you have the second or third or fourth, depending your viewpoint, best player in the world. Heliocentrically having his hands on 70 possessions a night.
I would argue it actually helps you in the playoffs more than it helps you in the regular season. I think he gives you like 40. He'll get you to 45 wins. Is that enough for them to get out of the play-in? Probably not.
Well, here's my thing. I want to ask Rylan about this. It is my informed opinion that there is no player, I think, in the Western Conference that OKC fears more than Luka. He breaks that defense. He breaks it because all the stuff that they do against everybody else doesn't work on him for a variety of reasons.
There is one.
Sorry?
There is one.
Washington, yeah.
There's one.
Yeah, that's true. So second, but yeah.
But yeah, like, is there something to the idea of like, look, if Marcus Smart has a bounce back year and Joe's wrong and he can play, and if DeAndre Ayton and Luka's relationship, because I think that's the important part is like Luka and DeAndre Ayton are actually good off court when Luka and KP never got along, and that caused a lot of problems because Luka's a particularly Anyway, but
the Balkan.
If the combination works of just like, hey, pick and roll big with Luka, shooters around them, LeBron and Austin do whatever. I have a little bit of concern about like if the Lakers are good. That's a matchup I don't like for OKC. The gap between those teams is massive, right? It's like I'm not arguing.
They're not going to beat them though. There's not enough depth. The defense. I mean,
you beat them with PJ Washington, so
and a rookie center.
Yeah.
I agree though. I think that Luka, he let's just call it exploits the Thunder's defense. I mean, they do this against everybody. Luka's the one that can actually exploit it, leaving corner shooters open, trying to claw into the paint, and then Luka just throws a magicianal pass and has a guy wide open. And if Marcus Smart has a career year from 3, which I think that he will next to Luka Doncic, and that's not like a huge high bar for him, but I think he can get back to what he was with the Celtics from 3-point land specifically, not defensively. Like that helps them out a ton. And if they have 3-point shooting is obviously very variant, and there's a lot of variables that go into it. You can obviously have a look at PJ Washington, have a career outlier series shooting from 3 with Luka Doncic facilitating to you, plus DeAndre Ayton in the pick and roll, which I think DeAndre Ayton, if it's now or never for him, like we've talked ad nauseum today about how he's viewed around the league. We also saw Russell Westbrook have a bad year next to LeBron and the Lakers, and how he's now viewed around the NBA, not even having a job. I think that the desperation can create some of that artificial motor that Ben talked about earlier that DeAndre Ayton doesn't have. So I really do think that the Lakers can be a threat to OKC because of the Luka Doncic factor. Like there's just no stopping him, because even for as great as the Thunder are with perimeter attack defenders, he's able to break those guys down. And then you do want to shut him off first and foremost and live with the results. That's the Thunder's philosophy for every team. Just shut down their best player and live with the results from 3, because there's natural abilities for guys to miss wide open threes in the league because of what 3-point shots are. They don't value defending the corners as much as other teams do. And so, yeah, Luka's the guy that can really pick that apart. I think that against Minnesota, it's the same situation, only Minnesota did not get the 3-point luck that PJ Washington did. Anthony Edwards in that series, yeah, you can say he didn't score enough. He made some excellent passes and some excellent reads, and then the guys clanked him in the corner, and the Thunder won the game. And it's like a lot of that was not on Edwards last year. A lot of that was on they didn't have a PJ Washington step up. And so Luka Doncic does raise the tide of his shooters more than any other playmaker, in my opinion, and that's going to hurt the Thunder with the way that they play defense.
On the flip side, though, the supporting cast that Luka has, like, does he have guys that are going to make those threes, right? Like, he can break down the defense, but yeah, and it's the one game the Wolves won in the conference finals.
But heading into that Thunder series against the Mavericks, for as much flaws as you could say that the Thunder had without the front court depth and with Josh Giddey, no one expected PJ Washington to shoot like that. Nobody expected Derek Jones Jr. to shoot like that. Not even Nick Angstadt did with his crap-eating grin. So it's like, what do you do whenever Luka Doncic is out there facilitating the pumpkin?
You pray. I don't know. You pray, and then you beat him on the other end, which is what I think would happen against that.
You wait for the Lakers. You wait for the Lakers to trade nothing for him. That's what you do.
Oh, Anthony Davis, top 10 player.
Who wins more games, Dallas or LA this year?
Ooh,
I think the Mavericks.
I have LA 8th, and I have the Mavs way down. So even if I adjust the Mavericks up, which I probably should.
What is way down from 8th?
He said he didn't have them making the playoffs.
Yeah, they're out of the
play-in.
They're out of the playoffs for me, Nick. I have them. I'm like, look, I'm probably
sometimes you text me, you're like, why do Mavs fans hate me so much? I've discovered why.
Yeah, it's all numbers though. This is just
some Mavs fans will be happy you said that though, because they want to see the Mavs implode because it's so
implode. I think they want to see one guy unemployed.
Some of them want to, they definitely want one guy.
I will give another hot take. I have the Memphis Grizzlies 5th, Joe Mullinax.
Whoa!
What?
In the West?
You waited until 46 minutes to drop this bomb on us, Matt?
Can we just get Matt's standings right now real quick?
Yeah, Matt, just give us the whole rundown.
Thunder, Wolves, Nuggets, Clippers, Grizzlies, Rockets, Warriors, Lakers, Kings, Suns, Spurs, Blazers.
I didn't even put that together that you had the Rockets under the Grizzlies.
Go ahead.
What's the case for the Rockets?
This is a little behind. I apologize. This is a little behind.
Behind what?
I did an update, which actually bumped up the Rockets because it's got offensive rebounding included, which is the only way they could score. So that's the only way they could score.
Can you do that again?
Yeah, hang on. Let me pull
Slow down. So the
I thought it was good.
Right ones here.
Let me get.
I was still stuck on the Rockets at 6th under the Grizzlies.
Yeah, no, they're higher now. I'll pull it up in a sec, but yeah, I have them. I do have the Rockets a little bit lower. Now
just give the rundown again.
I gotta pull it up.
Thunder Wolves. I do like the respect to the Wolves who've been to the conference finals 2 years in a row.
I don't look. Yes, the Rockets' offense last year was abysmal. It was trash, and it was really bad for a bunch of different reasons. One of them is now in Phoenix, and so like you add one of the greatest scorers the game has ever seen in Kevin Durant, a walking 50, 40, 90 efficiency. And he's replacing the absolute abysmal efficiency of Jalen Green. Like Fred is a big loss. Fred is a big loss from a culture perspective, from a defense perspective. He was the guy that would get guys organized on the floor. Absolutely. But you are literally injecting Kevin Durant to a team that just won 52 games, that was a top 5 defense, that was flirting with being a top 10 offense, despite having like one of the worst offenses in the entire NBA. Because again, it was propped up with offensive rebounding. Yes, they will continue to be a great offensive rebounding team, but now the guys who are actually taking a majority of their shots will convert on them. And the few times and the less times now that they actually miss shots, when those shots aren't converted, they're still going to be an elite rebounding team. They are still going to crush you on the offensive glass with Alperen Sengun and Steven Adams and Clint Capella and Tari Eason and Amen Thompson. Like, they are still going to have that identity and the defensive identity.
The 10-second way to say that, Jackson, you just changed the shot selection of Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks into Kevin Durant. Like,
Dillon Brooks wasn't even the problem. Dillon Brooks was great,
but his shot selection
it was fine. Like he would have the one-off game, like one every 10 games, where he would maybe do a little bit too much from the mid-range. But his shot selection from Memphis to Houston, he got rid of a lot of the BS that he would do, and he prioritized like efficient basketball.
Where did you have the Spurs, Matt?
I have them 11th. I don't think they're going to be good. I just don't. They weren't good before.
It's because the Wemby hype is overrated. That's why.
Whoa. So I agree. None of it fits. Castle, Fox,
Harper.
And it was against the Utah Jazz. And it was preseason. And we're not supposed to swear on this show, but holy shit. What I saw last night from Victor Wembanyama was it beginning to come together.
2.5 letters in that one.
The Wemby hype may be real. It was different last night. It was against the Jazz. It was preseason, but it was different. That was a different player than I'd seen the 6 times I'd seen him prior.
I had him top 5 in my top 100. Everybody else have him?
I had him a lot lower. I just think it's tough until you see it.
Outside of the top 10.
Yeah.
Out of the top 10?
Out of the top 10.
Yeah, I did too. I had him 15 on mine.
He hasn't earned it yet. Wow. Like, what are we talking? We're talking about right now.
They're 10 points better when he's on the floor defensively.
He was going to be defensive player of the year.
Guys in the league that have that kind of impact.
Yeah, Jackson. He is individually that good. He is that good.
Yeah,
I need to see it translate to at one point you can highlight the team success part, and that's what I'm looking at.
The rest of his team was Jeremy Sohan and Harrison Barnes.
If you're that individually good, if you're that individually great, if you're going to elevate the defense, then why were the Spurs still a bottom 5 defense last season?
I've watched Luka Doncic on a terrible team and known that was still a top 5 player though.
But
Jackson, I don't think that's a terrible comment by Jackson. Actually,
I don't
like they're
like at what point does the individual greatness translate to some team success?
Played 2 seasons and he got blood clots at the end of last one.
But we're calling him
the minus 10 is misleading because of how gosh awful everybody else was on that team. So I don't disagree with Jackson on this. I'm just telling you guys what I saw last night.
It was 110 with him on the floor, Jackson. It was 8 points better with him on the court. 8 points better.
Cleaning glass out of him at 9.7.
Yeah, non-garbage time is 9.7.
Yeah.
I am very reticent on this stuff because this is my argument against Luka, which is if you're that good, why is your net rating always very subpar? And I do think that there was something in Luka's game early where it was one of my favorite things was Luka in a loss. It was always Luka Doncic had 40 points and 15 rebounds and 12 assists, and the Mavericks lost by 7.
Because they had no one else that could dribble for most of his career up there.
Well, Matt said he has the Spurs 11, right? And I think it's really hard to argue he's a top 5 player, and then they're going to win 40 games again. I understand that individually he's if you stack him up in a vacuum against other guys, he's probably, I don't know, top 5, top 6, top 7, whatever. But everybody else you're stacking him up against that you would consider a potential top 5 player, their teams have won at least a playoff series. Much, they've been to the playoffs and won a series or 2, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where it gets sticky. He's probably in the 5 to 10 range. I think but it's a really hard thing to be like, he's the 5th best player in the league when he's played like 100-ish, plus or minus games, and his team's never been to the playoffs. I just think that's challenging to say.
Well, he's just only had 2 chances, and one of them he had blood clots and didn't finish the season. So it's like, I don't know why we're holding him up for missing the playoffs in his first year. Like that.
Same reason why I think it's tough to obviously tough to rank Cooper Flag, right? Because we haven't seen him play in an NBA game yet. So it's more that who you're comparing him against, I think, matters when we're talking about a player rank list.
I think it's also really hard because the hardest part here is obviously we think that Wemby is going to be great. We are expecting we're projecting him to be like maybe in the GOAT conversation, like when it's all said and done. Yes, but what his actual production is on the court right now.
I'm gonna get run out of Dallas over here.
His actual production on the court right now, like I could reel off probably.
He was the shoe into win defensive player of the year. He was the best defensive player in the league last year, and putting up like 20.
You cannot give defensive player of the year to a guy whose team is a bottom 5 defense. Like it makes no sense.
He was minus odds the whole year to win it, and then he got hurt.
Yeah, that was wrong though. Like he really should.
What? You're gonna go against? We can't.
Well, because
that's like giving like MVP to Kevin Love back when he was on the Wolves because his numbers were just so dominant. He looked so good.
Actually, this is really important. Never ever use the odds when you're doing it. When you're looking at stuff, don't be like, well, he's the favorite. That's influenced by the money coming in from significant bettors on a market. So it's like if everybody has the wrong idea or they think that the voters are going to vote for the wrong person, it's not reflexive where it's like, well, he's the favorite, therefore he's the best. He's considered to be the best, therefore he's the favorite. Always consider it a reflection and not like a driver.
Okay, I'm super sorry. I'm sorry, Jackson. I swear I prepped for an NBA game last night, and the dude I prepped for averaged 24 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 blocks, had an effective field goal percentage of 59% or 57% last year, shot 35% from 3 and 48% from the field, taking 9 a game while making 84% of his free throws. I know those are all standard numbers that aren't advanced metrics, but I'm sorry. What did I miss about those numbers not being unbelievable?
Well, for me, a lot of it's like if you watch him, and I'm really scared about this year because it looks like he's added muscle, so he's able to bunk guys off. But you could move him so easy still. Like guards can get into him. Like Amen Thompson can create separation by bumping into him. He's still super impactful, David. I'm not arguing that.
I'm agreeing with you. I actually think this is my point. I've watched him. I always feel like there's something lacking. I feel like you can move him. I feel like you can do all these things the last 2 years while he averaged 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. And I wonder when it all comes together and he can shoot every possession he wants to shoot because no one can get in his shooting window. If he's not going to average 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 blocks a game, I'm not kidding.
But I'm with Jackson on, you got to do it first.
Yeah.
Like I doubted Jaren Jackson offensively because I was like, he needs a freaking offensive go-to move. Like he's got to have something that he can do and actually go to. And now he finally does, and he's underrated, Joe. Explain it to me.
Jaren Jackson Jr. is underrated, so is John Morant. But again, I was told that we can't talk about injuries, and the Grizzlies are extremely injured right now. So while I'm very honored that they're 5th in your rankings there, Matt, may not be anymore. The thing about Jaren is
we bully Matt out of the Grizzlies at 5.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. The thing about Jaren Jackson Jr. is he's kind of become underrated in Memphis, even after the great season he had, because of this new coach with Tuamasi Isolo and the re-emphasis on pick and roll and getting Ja Morant going, and Zach Edey, Matt's favorite player, is going to have a big year in this system. And there's so much that's being prioritized that isn't what Jaren did well in the revamped offense from last year. Because while the Grizzlies defense went off a cliff, the offense was legitimately better last year. And the main reason for that was Jaren Jackson Jr. So Jaren Jackson Jr. developing the game that he has as an isolation scorer. There were stretches last year where he was one of the best isolation scorers in the entire league. The way that he's able to create offense is so predictable now that he has to be in a position where he's a better creator off of that dribble, finding people, passing, facilitating offense. I hope that's the next level for him. But Jaren is a great example of exactly what you're talking about with Wemby. And my concern about Wembanyama is the team that's being built around him, like you guys said, not a ton of it really fits. I feel like they're still a big move away from really unlocking what Wembanyama actually is. Like they need to, like the Giannis rumors, which aren't going to happen, but that would be terrifying if that actually did occur. Like I feel like that would unlock what Wembanyama actually would be best at. They're asking him to do things as a physical presence that I don't know that he can physically do in terms of being able to be moved by guards and other wings that in theory shouldn't be able to move him. Like that doesn't happen to Jaren Jackson Jr. Wemby's 6 inches taller, but Jaren has the physical mass and frame that he's able to handle himself. You bring in somebody like a Jaren, like a Giannis, someone of that ilk. I think that's the kind of guy that unlocks what Wembanyama can fully be in the NBA. I don't know if the Spurs are going to be able to get there or not. They have the assets. The question is, you need another team to be willing to ship them to you.
It's actually why I really like the Luke Cornett, Kelly Olynyk additions and stuff for them. Like let those guys handle the 5 spot, right? Let Wemby, Wemby is a 5, but you run him at the 4 and then you run him at 5 in certain lineups, whatever. Let somebody else handle the brunt of like the physicality of that 5 spot and just let him be that roaming presence defensively at the 4 and just blowing everything up with his size and length.
But that's a fair reason they're not like the Spurs, because when you're counting on Kelly Olynyk to be that guy for you, like that might be a bridge too far in terms of expecting them to make a leap in front of other teams that are still trying to compete in the Western Conference.
Anybody have any parting shots about any of the bottom feeders in the West? Anybody?
I mean, the Pelicans' ceiling is what to close out this division? Since we can't talk injuries, the Pelicans' ceiling is what?
Play-in team with
ceiling, right?
Zempic Zion? Are you kidding me? Let's go.
5 seed.
5 seed.
5 seed with their
They were healthy. Trey Murphy, Zion Williamson, healthy DeJounte.
How about Trey Murphy for show me, right? Like I feel like that's the player that everybody's like.
Herb Jones.
He's really good. Trey Murphy's really good.
They have like a really good like
they have
top
a lot of players.
8.
They have a lot of players.
They have 240.
They do. There you go. 240 for the Pels.
Just some nights it's going to be 105.
And when Zion's playing though, and when he's out there, man, that's a top 10 player, and we've seen it for a whole season as a top 10 player.
I like the Trailblazers a lot. I think that's a team that could crash the party in the playoffs.
The Blazers.
I like the Blazers.
Joe.
The same way Ben was talking about the Suns being like this team that you're going to roll into and be like, it's the Suns. We're going to beat them. They're going to be such an annoying team to play. The Blazers, their defense is going to be.
That's where I'm at.
Sure, Chauncey Billups is good. Like, are we sure?
No,
I'm not sure of that, but I'm sure that again, their starting 5 is, whether it's because of Billups or because of whatever else is happening up there, they are going to be what Ben said the Phoenix is going to be. I think that's what Portland's going to be. You're going to go in and think, holy crap, that was a lot harder than it should have been.
They were already that last season.
Right.
That's the thing. Ish.
It seemed like that, but then you look at like if you take a step back and you look at even in their good stretch of games, you kind of walk away being like, like I was ready to be all in on them, and then I did the deep dive.
I mean, I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying they're not like this. Yeah. They're not like this 19-win team, right? Like it's not like going in to play the Nets.
There's only one team that's not trying to win games in the West, guys.
And they have Isaiah Collier, so it's okay. Isaiah Collier is great. I love Isaiah.
I have a question for David. Does Markkanen finish the season in Utah?
Yes.
Interesting.
I just think
because the Lakers play them the last game of the season.
Here's the quick answer. I didn't hear it.
Because the Lakers play them the last game of the season, or
yeah. The quick answer is you actually you have to have a piece or two that's actually around when you rebuild. And so if Ace is good, which honestly he looks incredible so far, and then you get whoever you get next year, AJ, whatever young kid, you've got 2 of them. The fact that Lowry makes $40 million is fine at that point, whereas Lowry making $40 million on a good team isn't actually fine in this day and age. So I think it's hard to trade him because it was $40 million, and then 2, I do think they're going to try to get better. They have $42 million of cap space in the offseason. I think this thing is like they're going to draft this next year and then hope they've hit and try to move this thing forward. So I'd be surprised. I would be surprised. I mean, now the only way would be is if there's some piece out there that they believe is, piece 1A to Ace Bailey or piece 1B to whoever they draft next year, that they could get for Lowry Markkanen, and they go do it. And I don't know who that is.
Ace Bailey looking like Tracy McGrady early on is pretty cool.
Yes. No, I mean, I'm not like, I want to be really careful here.
He looks so good.
It's preseason basketball, large grain of salt, but he definitely gives off McGrady vibes.
He's making plays that the amount of wing players in the NBA in the last 20 years that can make those plays is like 20 guys, 30 guys.
This is not sarcastic at all. I really love that.
No, he's been great.
I love that for you. I was very nervous about this Jazz season and your sanity and being both the radio host and the Locked On Jazz host.
He's been great. Like there was a play last night in overtime against San Antonio. Again, he was against G League guys, but it's off a pin down catch at 18 feet, rise up in one motion, elevate a foot over everybody else and make the jumper. And he did the same thing against Houston about 3 or 4 times.
Can we say Ace Bailey's already better than Devin Booker?
Ooh,
just because Ben is.
But I would say this. If I had a sponsor of a show that was like Game Time, I would go buy a ticket to see Ace Bailey. But if I also had a sponsor of a show that was FanDuel, and I'm not allowed to give you any betting advice, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you know what to do from there.
I already said Cooper's not going to put up a ton of numbers, so there could be some competition.
We need to apologize to FanDuel and say that the views of Matt Moore do not reflect Locked On NBA.
There is an interesting Rookie of the Year thing that basically every Rookie of the Year has averaged 15 points a game, and most Rookie years have averaged at least 18 points a game. And there is a question whether Cooper averages on that roster.
He might not need to.
Yeah, right.
True.
It might be a good day for Cooper if he averages 12 points, a great season, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and Dallas loves that.
Yeah.
But that has traditionally not won rookie. Malcolm Brogdon's, I think, the last guy to win Rookie of the Year and not average 15 points a game.
Look, David, defense wins championships, not Rookie of the Year awards, okay?
Very good point.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
take
right.
it from me.
That's right. Go check out all these great shows. Links in the description wherever you're listening to this to find Locked On Rockets, Jazz, Grizzlies, Thunder, Mavs, Nuggets, Suns. If you're listening to Locked On Suns, like I appreciate you for
thoughts and prayers.
You guys over there enjoying the season that Ben Garcia deserves. Guys, thanks for listening to Locked On NBA Squad Show West.